Danger is not always visible to the human eye, but it can still strike us at any moment. According to the LA Times, published February 17, 2019, John D. Brighter, a homeless man who was 63 years old, was found unconscious in front of a shelter after a long rainy night. He was later taken to USC Medical Center, where they tried to revive him, but his body had gone into cardiac arrest and he died after his body temperature had lowered to too dangerous of a level. So even here in Southern California, people can suffer due to exposure in chilly temperatures and can die due to hypothermia. I never considered the dangers of hypothermia until moving to a cold weather state where I lived there for a short period of my life. And even though it is possible to become adjusted to the climate, and you eventually will, regardless of how used to cold weather you are, it can still sneak up on you. So over the last week and a half, I have provided an extensive amount of research to share with you all regarding these significant dangers caused by hypothermia. And with how sneaky this condition can be, it's important to know the effects that it has on a person before putting oneself in a bad situation. According to the Chicago Tribune, January 29th, 2018, severe brain issues can be a result to the onset of these symptoms. And your lack of cognitive skills can take you to a point where you don't even realize what's happening. And this lack of self-awareness is especially dangerous if you want to have any chance of survival. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to urge you to consider these dangerous circumstances. First, I'm going to provide some data and statistics as well as tragic stories of real-life people who suffered from hypothermia. Second, I'm going to provide some contributing factors which leads to hypothermia happening. And third, I'm going to provide some effective steps where you can protect yourself if you're ever in this situation. Hypothermia is a major threat to people who are living or traveling in cold climates. But no matter what kind of populated area you're living in, Americans will face these circumstances in cold states every day during the winter. According to Mortality and Morbidity Weekly Report, February of 2021, the number of hypothermic-related deaths for people near the age of 15 or just under it was very significant in rural areas, but not as prevalent in urban areas. However, across the board, it was still very considerable that people were dying due to winter-related circumstances. And if you take a look at the visual, you can see here that the deaths per 100,000 people in both urban and rural areas is significantly increased as soon as the age increases as well. And what's especially alarming is the fact that if you take a look at ages 75 to 85, it skyrockets towards the end. I would also like to provide two stories of individuals who suffered at the hands of hypothermia. According to the Chicago Tribune, published December 14th, 2021, a man from Baltimore who was between 50 and 60 years old, who is still unidentified to this day, was found dead after freezing to death one night. He was the first death that was reported in the state of Maryland in 2021. However, the year before, in 2020, there were 57 deaths that happened before he died. Time.com also published a piece in January 25th of 2020 about a boy named Thomas Valva. He was 8 years old when he was found dead in his parents' garage after they had locked him in there, knowing that it was going to be 19 degrees in Long Island, New York that night. The authorities arrested them for second-degree murder charges. So after examining these dangerous circumstances and tragic stories, we will go over some leading factors that can cause hypothermia to happen. So here are two major causes that can lead to the onset of this condition. Spending hours in freezing temperatures puts you at a major disadvantage if you want to survive. According to Harvard Health Letter, October 2019, organ failure is one of the major causes that happens when a person dies due to freezing to death. So basically, the more time you spend outside, the more susceptible you become to things such as heart attacks, liver failure, and even kidney failure. Damp or wet clothing is also another major thing that can lead to hypothermia. According to the Preventive Maintenance Monthly, February 2019, chilly and frigid temperatures, regardless of whether or not you're at or below freezing, will speed up the process of how quickly your body freezes if your clothes are damp due to wet rain or snow. And though these are some major circumstances that are very alarming, there are ways that we can prevent it from happening. Here are the most effective methods to avoid potential hypothermic-related symptoms. One important tip is to make sure that you're wearing layers that not only insulate your body heat, but make sure that you are protecting your outer layer of clothes with waterproof material. According to a magazine article published by Industrial Safety and Hygiene News, December 12th, 2020, it's important to make sure that your layers are evenly stacked on top of each other. The article goes on to explain that by doing this, you're able to keep the warmer layers such as fleece inside with waterproof stuff on the outside, and it's more effective for keeping you dry. In order to also protect oneself from the cold, another important tip is to constantly monitor your surroundings at all times. And the same article, Industrial Safety and Hygiene News, published December 12, 2020, states that the most effective way to do this is to use the buddy system when evaluating harsh elements and situations. So by staying in a group, your chances are much better of surviving without induced hypothermia. Today, we went over the circumstances that cause hypothermia, as well as some alarming statistics which provided those facts. First, I provided the data and statistics, along with some tragic life stories that happen to real people. Second, we went over some of the leading causes which can induce the onset of this condition. And third, I provided some effective tips to help you prevent this dangerous condition. So even though we can't always see danger before it strikes, we can at least combat it before it's even possible.